When I moved to the US at the age of 24, it could not be any more surprising for me how people in the US or many Americans stereotype the Muslim woman. I do come from a relatively committed and conservative family. However, I'm pursuing my studies in the US. They had this stereotype about Muslim women either being conventional, staying at home and doing almost nothing, or being liberal. Because of this, I became very aware of accurate stereotyping that is taking place in the West. And actually, this stereotyping or this complicated relationship was born due to many circumstances. Books like Huntington's The Clash of Civilization were absolutely contributors to this stereotyping. I'm sure that this stereotyping has helped actually the US policy in the Middle East, and I do remember the invasion of Iraq, where many people were really dehumanizing the Iraqis when they did the invasion. I think one-to-one personal interaction between people from the so-called West and people from the so-called East would help creating a human face for each other. I think tolerance and appreciating the other for what they have to offer. I think we need to be tolerant to our differences and to respect each other as they are. Also, education is really very important in uplifting or the wrong image that has been accumulating in the West about Arabs and Muslims, or events such as September 11th. I'm sure it has contributed to this very negative stereotyping. However, I think it's much more rooted, much more complex than being attributed to only one event. It's surprising if we look at different cultures how similar they are, because we always dwell in differences and exaggerate them rather than dwell in similarities and celebrate them. And I do think that if we celebrate our similarities and also celebrate our differences where we actually recognize them as positive points of change and rooms for learning from others and improving and progressing, this would be absolutely a way to go. One of the major defenders of the Islamic culture and civilization is Lord Said, who himself was not Muslim, even though he was Arab. But it was in his book Orientalism that I started realizing how the stereotyping of Arabs and Muslims is taking place unconsciously. And actually, if we look at the Hollywood movies, we unconsciously analyze them, we would see how much stereotyping is going on in the Hollywood about Arabs and Muslims. It's very frequent that a murderer is called Ali or Ahmad or Muhammad, and then there is stereotyping about Arabs in their homeland being Bedouins, enjoying belly dancing and almost understanding nothing and doing nothing, which is absolutely unfair to the hundreds of millions of educated Arabs and Muslims actually living not only in the Middle East but all over the world, contributing to the progress of this civilization. I lived in the US for 4 years, actually doing my graduate studies, and a few points actually did trigger my attention or my surprise at certain points. First one, as I mentioned, there was a big surprise for that a female Muslim woman coming from traditional background is doing her studies in the US and have professional and personal aspiration. Actually, the underestimation for what Arabs can do. I was at MIT and everybody was super surprised that how did you get to MIT even though you're Arab or Muslim. Actually, I saw this on many faces. Of course, I'm not stereotyping about Americans. There were many people who are really aware of what's going on of Orientalism, or who are very welcoming, who are very empathetic with what's going on, and who actually feel apologetic for where the West is going or where the Western foreign policies or the US foreign policy is going. In all cases, I don't think anybody has the right to stereotype about Americans being stereotyping others. And but as Edward Said said that I also became aware that we should not orientate ourselves, because I realized that some Arabs or Muslims, because of the discourse that is taking place, are start to orientate themselves and creating the stereotype about themselves that the West has created about them. And this is absolutely destructive because it does affect the ability and self-esteem of any Arab, and it does affect his ability to contribute to wherever he is.